Hi everyone, today is July 3rd, day before 4th of July, and I wanted to do a little bit of an update video. So here I got another batch of compost tea brewing. I didn't mention the last time is whenever I do compost tea, I always top it off with some more water. So I always add more water for my garden, and so I have this other batch going, and July 28th I did a batch. Is when I did my compost tea brewer video, as well as showing you what I do for my compost tea. But I kind of wanted to show you what happened since that. Between 24 and 30 hours, I used my compost tea. My beefsteak tomato tree has grown. It comes to the top of here. My cherry tomato tree has grown, and even my peppers. Now I was having issues with my peppers because the tree wasn't getting big at all. Now my peppers is actually almost the size of my jalapenos. You can't really even tell the difference because even my jalapenos have grown. I also want to show that with my zucchini, I had the flowering. Well, my flowers, they fell off, and I got a couple extras and they fell off. I do have another one in the back, and I was very confused at why that was happening, so I did some research and come to find out that male flowers always fall. They don't make very good vegetables. Vegetables you really get from the female flowers. The male flowers are just there to help pollinate the female flowers, and they fell, so I guess I have no female flowers, or maybe that back one's a female flower. I really don't know what the difference is. I also want to show you here on my squash. I have 3 flowers here that are doing well, and then my zucchini keep climbing, so that's doing well as well. Also, even here in my corner where I don't get much sun, they're doing pretty well also. But I also wanted to show you something that I tend to do. It's really hot out right now, and I always keep a very good eye on my garden on days like these, because you'll see here why. If this is my broccoli, if you could tell, like, the leaves are very lifeless on this broccoli tree, and that is because of water. So whenever you see your leaves doing that, it needs to be watered. But what's the fear of watering so in the middle of the day? Well, burning your leaves. And with all this control with the bugs and the flies and everything like that, you never want to water in the middle of the day because you will burn your leaves. So I have a couple of different watering cans. This watering can is broken. It used to have a spout like this, but my nephew broke it off, so this watering can I don't really use. This watering can that has all the holes in it, I use that either early morning or in the evening when the sun is not as hot. I use this to water my plants because I come from the top and I water it down so that all my leaves get the water. But for a time like this, I'll use this type of watering can that has this spout on it. And what I'll do is the 15-minute rule. It's just like a diabetic. When your sugar is low, you do the 15-minute rule. You eat something or get a nice glass of orange juice, wait 15 minutes and take your blood pressure again. Well, I do the same with my broccoli or with any of my plants when the leaves look like this. What I'll do is I'll take my spout at the base of my plant and I'll water it. And I give it a nice good watering at the base. This prevents any watering from getting on my leaves that will have the sun burn them out. So I'll do that. And then when I'm done with that, I'll wait 15 minutes and I'll come and check out my garden. Now if my leaves liven up again and look beautiful and vibrant and alive, I know I gave it enough water. If it's not, I'll go back and I'll touch it up with a little extra water, wait 15 minutes, and it should bounce back after that. Also wanted to show you something else that's going on in my garden. If you can tell, a lot of my leaves have this white powdering on it. It's not white powdery mildew. It's actually something called garden dust. I was having some major issues with the bugs. I was using the neem oil, and as it did help, it really didn't help enough, because if you look, my broccoli especially, a lot of the leaves are very torn up from caterpillars and other different kinds of bugs, as well as on my tomato tree, the bigger it was getting, the more bugs I was getting, which means more food for them. So what I did was I went and I purchased, I have a couple of things actually. I have my neem oil, and then I have this stuff called garden dust. Garden dust is a last resort option, okay? I would normally just go with a neem oil. You know, I do it every 7 days, 7 to 10 days, and I watch as it diminishes my bugs. But if you continue to have a problem, I would go with some garden dust. You need to be really careful with the garden dust, because if it's windy out, one, it'll blow all over the place. You want to be careful because you really don't want to get the stuff in your own lungs. And also because it's something that you really do want to use as a last resort. It is something not really meant for organic gardening, because it does have quite a bit of things in it, and so you just want to be careful with that. I'm using it as a last resort because the bugs are a huge problem for me, especially because they are eating away at some of the things that I want for personal consumption and not for them, because they were eating some of the flowers off of my tomato trees, and I want those flowers to bloom into some tomatoes. I want to see some production. But something else that I did, something more on the organic end of things, is that large jalapeno that was growing. Well, I picked it, I harvested it, I took it, I cut it up, and I made this mixture here. This mixture is jalapeno, garlic, some organic vinegar, some organic olive oil, as well as a few drops of organic soap for washing dishes. Take it, grind it up, and add some water to it, and then you go ahead and you spray your garden. Obviously, I would wait till the sun isn't as bright as it is to prevent it from burning my leaves. But these plants here that don't get much sunlight had a swarm of bugs around it, and to make sure that, you know, what if this doesn't work for what I wanted? But I went and sprayed this and the bugs are gone. I don't see any bugs. I don't even see the white flies that usually hang out, which are the little tiny flies that hang out around your soil. They're not here, or there's very few of them. So I know that it works. So once the sun comes down a little bit more, I'll go ahead and I'll spray my water, the rest of my garden, besides my watermelon and my pumpkin over here. They're actually not doing too bad. I really don't expect anything big coming from this part of the garden, but I want this to have a chance. So we'll see what happens. Something else that I have going on here is I've been having some issues with raccoons and rats, as well as flies, because of the amount of heat that I'm getting here in New England. It's heating up my trash, which is causing a lot of flies, which causes gnats, an abundance of gnats. My whole trash cans were filled with gnats. So what I did was I took this spray bottle. This spray bottle I keep far away from what I use in my garden, because I have a total of 3 spray bottles. I have this spray bottle that has my harsh chemicals. I have that spray bottle that I use with my compost tea to spray my leaves. And then I have this spray bottle that I use to make my organic pesticides. Ooh, sorry, I got attacked by a bug there. I use for my organic pesticides. So I didn't want this to be anywhere near those, so I keep it rather far away. So to help with my gnat problem, what I did was I filled this halfway with water, halfway with bleach. Sorry. And I sprayed my trash cans down, and there's no gnats. In fact, you'll see a lot of the dead gnats, but I still have a big fly problem. So the flies, really not much you can do in trash cans, but I don't want gnats everywhere. They're really gross. But I am planning to get something for the flies, because I have flies that travel over in this neck of the woods. So what I'm doing is I'm going to clean up the rest of this area here to get it nice and cleaned up. And then what I'll do is actually organize my garden a little bit better to help make it more accessible for me, as well as I'm going to hang some fly strips to catch some of the flies, because I really don't want flies near my garden, so because they're gross. So for my raccoon and my rat problem, my mom actually did some research and found that ammonium really works. So what I'm doing is, or what I've already done is, I filled my bottle halfway with water and then the rest with ammonium. So you want a 50-50 of water and ammonium. And what I've done is I've sprayed it along the perimeter of my yard, avoiding this area here, as well as the area where my compost tea tumbler is, as well as over there where my pumpkins are. It's a harsh chemical. I really don't want it contaminating my garden. So by avoiding large portions of this area, when it rains, I have less of a chance of the rainwater getting to this area. Because what happens is when it rains, because I have a hill behind me, it'll rain and it'll come down and it'll do like an effect where it comes down and comes this way. So I wanted to avoid that to happen. So anything coming from this end to here tends to come down, and because this is all flat here, the rain kind of just staggers there and it goes into the soil, and that's it. So I needed to avoid that area where my pumpkins are growing, because I don't want ammonium, and I need to avoid this area so that when it rains it doesn't come down into my garden. So you gotta be very careful with this. Technically I should have done this prior to planting, that way I could have addressed that problem beforehand. But no vegetable garden, no vegetables, you don't really get that problem here. So that's what's going on. I hope everybody has a wonderful 4th of July and be safe.